streamed online at WSLR.org. Doug Miles and Don Henderson sitting in today, great sportscaster in studio, who we always enjoy having with us. And we have another great guest right now, Don, and a man who makes his home down here in Sarasota, but no secret, he's had a rough couple of years, the last few years, and his book, which I believe is coming on paperback, we'll find out about that right now, and a former NBA official, Tim Donaghy, joined us today by telephone. Tim, appreciate you taking a few minutes to be with us. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have a chance to talk to you, and just to kind of get an update on what's your life been like the last year or so.
It hasn't been the greatest, but it's getting better every day. I just started working for a gambling treatment center called First Step out of New Jersey, and I'm getting involved with helping counsel some people that suffer from gambling addiction, and also involved in interventions and getting them into treatment.
Yeah, I was reading up a little bit about that, and I think that's a great thing. That first of all, I got to commend you. I mean, we all know what happened. I mean, the story and all that, and you really faced it head on, which I think a lot of other famous people that have gone through things similar should take a page out of your book, because you never shied away from talking about it. So first of all, I wanted to say that to you.
Well, I appreciate that very much, and I think that's a credit to the people that I surrounded myself with, good friends and a great family, and I think that was, moving forward, the only way to really face what I did, and moving forward, hopefully, that sharing my story with others is going to help others shy away from making some terrible choices.
Tim, I saw Don Henderson here. I saw a number of your interviews. I saw 60 Minutes. I've certainly heard you interviewed many, many times, and you just brought up the family, and your dad and I were such great friends, and I just want to take a moment to ask you, because you're a Villanovan. One of the great chief of officials was a Villanovan. Your dad is one of the most respected officials in the Big Five and the Ivy League. This must have been devastating to someone that had such integrity for the game and so much knowledge of basketball. Your father. I just can't understand how something like this, with your upbringing, could happen.
Yeah, it's something that, I bat around in my head every day, that exact same question. And it's ironic that when I called him to wish him a happy Father's Day in 2007, he immediately sensed that something was wrong. And, that was the time that I unfortunately had to break the news to him of, what was going on. But, again, to my family's credit, to my father's credit, he stood by me like any father would stand by their son in a difficult situation, even though it was very painful. I'm very fortunate that he stood by me the entire way.
With this kind of background, though, how could you, and let's face it, I was involved in the NBA for so many years, and Jack Madden was a great friend of mine. I grew up with Jack, and when you looked at the history of the NBA, you can say, well, okay, somebody, there's always a towel guy in the locker room. There's always a trainer in the locker room. There's always somebody running they finally had to take the telephones out of the hall so that people wouldn't, they wouldn't run out, call the bookmakers and say, this guy's hurt, that guy's hurt. Basically, you were an information giver. That was what you did. And but you were just one of millions of people in the NBA that do that.
I think so, but I think the fact that I was, a referee and I was in a very trusted position, that, they needed to come down hard on me, and rightfully so. I certainly did something that I shouldn't have done. I paid an enormous price for my mistakes, and, like I said, I'm trying to take this very negative situation and turn it into something positive so that other people can certainly learn from what I did.
What's been the most difficult part? I guess it has to be the family situation, right, Tim? Telling them originally the situation with your kids and the wife, and I guess that's probably the number one thing that you have to deal with, right?
Yeah, it's certainly the most painful situation, going through a divorce and, having 4 daughters, and, not that they were spoiled, but they were used to having everything that they wanted, and they lived a very comfortable life, and now that's basically been taken away from them. But with the same hard work and determination that allowed me to become an NBA referee, I expect to, in some way, shape, or form, build myself back up and not only support them emotionally, but financially in the coming months.
But, Tim, while you were in prison and also afterwards during the interviews, you also tried to paint a little bit of a wide brush on other people that were other officials, number one, and people within the NBA. I know that David Stern took great exception to that. Have you changed your thinking in that regard, or are you still saying that it wasn't just you.
No, I don't think that I'm changing my thinking on that, and I think that it's widely known that it wasn't just me. My book was written, and the FBI wrote the foreword for the book, and they wrote that foreword with the understanding that whatever I printed was 100% truthful. And, through a year of being a cooperating witness, they did a thorough investigation on all and everything that I told them, and they found out all of it to be true, and they stood by what I wrote in the book. And, as of right now, David Stern hasn't addressed any of the issues, and I don't think he ever will. He's just waiting for this thing to, be swept under the rug, and he's just going to hide in the office and not address the issues.
Are you kind of surprised, Tim, when this kind of happened? Stern had that real dour look on him, like a bomb had exploded in his office. But it really has not seemed to affect at least the ratings of NBA games, and fans, from what I can tell, have not really been affected by this whole situation. Does that surprise you at all?
I'm not sure whether they've really been affected by it or not, but I can assure you that I speak to a lot of people, whether it's fans or owners or even some players, and the bottom line is they know what's going on. The fans are very knowledgeable, and I think people are getting fed up to the point where this has evolved into a show and not a true athletic competition, and everybody wants it to be a true athletic competition. It's amazing. I did 2 radio shows this past week, and just talking with the producers and finding out who was refereeing the games, knowing what games they were in the series. I was able to predict the games 10 out of 10 correctly this week. It's 10-0. I know in the book I talk about being 70 to 80% correct, but this past week I was 10-0, 100% correct on predicting the outcome of games.